What's that? It's okay. 6:30. Okay, we'll start the meeting. We'll start the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll open up with the budget workshop. Dr. Crankshaw, you have the floor.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see everybody here. You must have some beef with the school district. Just kidding. But we have a lot of tenure candidates here tonight, so we're pretty excited about that. But first, the budget workshop is less of a workshop than a reminder and a review of the pertinent components. I think that are important. So I just will spend time on 4 slides, if that's okay with the board. And if the board at any time wants me to go deeper into anything, nothing has changed for the last 3 months. Okay, so be assured that I haven't slipped anything in here that might be different. Promise. Okay. So the expenditures for 25-26, we are looking overall at a total spending plan of $45,156,817. That translates to a 3.84% increase in spending, which is about what we typically would have in terms of an increase in spending from year to year. So nothing surprising there. And you can see how we broke it down in 3 components of the general budget: administrative, capital, and program. The percentage increase changes there, and yeah, I don't know if you have any questions. That is our spending plan in summary. Of course, the public hearing in May will go into a lot more detail. And finally, the revenues should equal the spending plan. And so you'll see the revenues, we have $45,156,817, which is important. That 3.84% increase in spending plan. What's important to taxpayers a lot of times is the tax levy portion of that revenue, which we stand to increase by 2.99%, which is actually down in terms of an increase in percentage from last year. But it is inevitable every year we try to collect the maximum allowable tax levy limit so that we're not leaving money on the table. We've been through this, especially with the long-range planning that we've done. There it is split up into the components of state aid, federal aid, of course the tax levy, use of fund balance and reserves, and generally, as a reminder, our budget is funded locally by about a third, and by New York State and federal government by 2/3, generally. We're not going to go over all this. Sneak peek, this is our budget hearing. And last month, I think you remember, we covered the contingency budget, what that would look like. And finally, there's our summary. And you can read the summary up here, just broken down by what our total budget spending will be, estimated state aid, tax levy, other budgeted revenue, and our use of fund balance. I don't know, Lorraine, if we've heard from anybody else who might be running for the board, but we do have 2 seats up, and that is definitely going to be a proposition ballot, and the date of our budget vote is May 20th, 11 to 8, right here at the high school. Questions? Thoughts? Budget hearing date? May 6th.
Also voter registration.
with that, I'll sign off for this.
Okay, great. Okay, next up on the agenda is comments from the public on agenda and non-agenda items. The Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that we can better understand your views. Please be aware that individual student information or particular personnel issues will not be discussed by this board during public session. When recognized by the board president, please state your name and address. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Speakers will be notified by the board president when their time has expired. When speaking, the public shall direct their comments to the board and not district staff or other audience members. Speakers shall not expect board members to answer questions during the public comment. Questions shall be referred to the superintendent or his designee for review, study, and response. If appropriate, the board may request the issue be a discussion item at a future Board of Education meeting, or Board of Education committee. Is there anybody here who wishes to address the board at this time? Yes.
I know I usually do it during the JTA report, but I didn't think I was going to. As we can see from the full house here, and as Dr. Crankshaw mentioned, tonight is a really wonderful night. We see 12 tenured candidates on the agenda for this evening. So this occasion is something to mark because it's both meaningful and worthy of recognition. These educators have proven themselves to be masters of their craft. They've demonstrated a deep commitment to educating all children, embracing the responsibility to meet both the academic and the social emotional needs of every student in their care. Over the years, these individuals have engaged in ongoing professional learning. They're continually refining their skills and adapting to the evolving curricular expectations. They've built meaningful relationships with families, they've forged strong bonds with students, and they've become integral parts of our school community. What makes this group particularly remarkable is that their dedication extends beyond their classroom. They've become collaborators, true team members, not only within their grade levels or departments, but across the entire Johnstown School District. Their presence strengthens the fabric of our schools, and their contributions shape the culture of learning and support that we value so deeply. So, assuming a positive vote this evening, the Johnstown Teachers Association congratulates these fine educators on earning this important designation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next element of our agenda. We have a possible executive session. So I'd look for a motion to enter into executive session at 6:09 p.m. to discuss the employment history of a particular person. Well, second, Joelle. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we're unanimous. We will adjourn to cross the hall. Bring the meeting back to order. It's 6:21 p.m. And we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of items. First, I'd like to start with some really great news. Mr. Hale, our principal, will be presented with a special recognition from the state organization of principals, SANES. He's being presented on May 19th in the morning with the SANES Excelsior Award. Essentially, it's Principal of the Year for our region, which is Albany, Saratoga region. So, congratulations. So, glad I could embarrass you. I was going to welcome Isaac Harris, who isn't here at the moment. But he is our first ex officio student board member in the history of Johnstown School District. So if not tonight, he'll be joining us next month, I'm sure. Some good news about Odyssey of the Mind. We have our 6th to 8th grade team. The names are Jaden Risley, Raya Patel, Jacob Risley, Haley Leonard, Noah Sweet, Zane Lee, and Stephanie Singer came in first out of 20 other teams in their division for their problem, earning a spot to compete in the World's Finals, May 21st to the 24th at Michigan State University. So that's a lot to celebrate as well. I would just like to take a moment to address tenure, because we have so many fabulous people here tonight. Tenure is widely perceived as the holy grail of the teaching profession. And the right of tenure is earned after 4 years, sometimes 3 years of evaluation, service, and oversight. Tenure doesn't mean a job for life. It means that teachers will have the right to a fair hearing on charges that could interrupt or end a career. So tenure is academic freedom. It's a sense of job security. It is meant to alleviate fear from ousting someone for personal or political reasons, like speaking up on behalf of students, like having a child, or simply being different from the norm. So 1887, the National Educators Association, interestingly enough, awarded the first tenure to a teacher in 1887. And tenure is meant to reward and recognize effective and exemplary teachers. The Latin tenere means to hold or keep. So Caitlin, Celia, Jack, Brennan, Tommy, Ethan, Sarah, Jackie, Megan, Nicole, Amber, and another Jackie. You are effective and exemplary, and I have recommended you to the board that we will hold you and keep you for many years to come. So you've aspired to be a better teacher for students. You are student-centered, not self-centered. You're content specialists, professionals who may have a contractual day, but extend those days both in the buildings and well into the afternoon, evening, family time, even vacation time. You don't sleep sometimes because you're worried about your students. You worry if your students aren't learning, and you reflect continuously on your practice so that you're at your best for them. So the district is recognized, I think, for its exemplary teaching force, and we are working for continuous improvement, as you know, rigorous standards, and to hold professionalism high. As our vision speaks to being the exemplary district and natural regional choice for families to enroll their students, and let's face it, the single most correlating variable in student success is the actual teacher. So that direct contact really matters. So you now belong to a group of professionals who can feel protected as you speak up for your students and do the important work of protection against unfair firing. Welcome to the core professional team at Johnstown, together with the board and the administrative team, as well as those in your collegial circles. We congratulate you and welcome you to the Johnstown family of tenured educational professionals. Congratulations. So on less thrilling news, you saw the last budget summary. We do have the public vote in the budget newsletter outline I'm pretty pleased with it. I would say that we have a lot of really nice things going into this this budget newsletter, I would say. We've got some nice accomplishments from the district. We have our typical superintendent's letter and a review of the budget. We have pie charts. We have, you know, all kinds of engaging graphics and budget notice, and it's about a eight-page document. And so people will be getting that. Lorena, do you know when that would typically go out? Just so we're on the lookout.
Can't go before the budget.
Right. Well, I wanted you to know that that's on its way. Just a quick update on lead testing. So far, we've received the results on all of our schools except for Glebe Street, which is being conducted, I think, tomorrow. And we have posted to the website and Parent Square all the notifications we need to. We will have some remediation, but we've only put one drinking fountain and one classroom bubbler out of service because of the findings at this point. But everything else will be marked. You know, these are outlets within our buildings that kids could conceivably drink from. But we've taken that pretty seriously. We're under a pretty serious review, but we haven't received any reports yet, but we've remediated everything we need to. So far, I want to thank Dave Wood, who's back there, who's taken pictures of every single water outlet, documented it by number, tested it, gone back in the evening and the morning to flush those things within 8 hours of this and that, and that's taken a lot of time on his part, so we really appreciate that. The board will receive an updated presentation from the construction team, if that is their pleasure. I was thinking in June, because there's an awful lot going on. I think it might be nice to have a public, update there. And we are currently working on transportation routing for the fall. I know Julie Berenger and Alicia are working pretty hard to try to expand service to our families and in the community. And I think that's all I really have. The only other thing I wanted to thank the board for replying to my recent reminder about May 15th. I know Dr. Ziskin really wants some board members there, so appreciate you giving your time for that.
Okay, thank you. No official employee leadership reports. So we'll move to the board report. I do not have a board report. Committee reports, and we've got academic and extracurricular notes.
I'll begin with the academic and extracurricular meeting that we held on March 26th. We talked a lot about student engagement and we talked about the survey that was conducted and we talked about how the district had to pivot a little bit and revise the survey instrument and also seek out some other information on engagement. We talked about how engagement is defined in this survey tool as a minimum involvement in one sport or activity. And we talked a lot about how it's Mr. Kramer's and the assistant principal of the high school their responsibilities for working with the student body on improving student engagement. We talked a little bit about how student morale is up, particularly in sports, because somewhat in due to the move to the WAC. We also got an overview on the elementary and middle school grades CKLA, ELA curriculum review. We talked about, Mrs. Panton told us a little bit more about the changes between the current edition and the newer edition, which includes a little bit more writing instruction, which is scientifically based, some phonics reading instruction, and updated themes and topics at each grade level. She provided us with resources that we could review. We also looked at some of the Amplify Science curriculum. We talked a little bit about that, especially the level 6 through 8, that it's more student-driven, project-based, and writing intensive, and that the team at Knox is really liking that. We talked a lot about how this and the teachers at Knox are really developing a cohesive curriculum in our district, aligned to the next gen standards. And our next committee meeting is on June 4th, Wednesday, June 4th. at 5:30. So that's the summary of
Thank you.
academic.
And do you want to do personnel as well?
Sure. We had a meeting, our personnel committee, was on April 16th. We talked, we had a negotiations update, with JTA, and we talked a little bit about, increasing our business program here at the high school. Creatively restoring it by using a variety of teachers to provide business classes in the high school. We also talked a little bit about recruitment of new teaching staff for next year and how interviews are going very well. The district is filling critical roles but still searching for science, special education, and potentially other positions as the spring progresses. And we are on track with recruitment efforts. We did talk about our next ABCD award winners at this committee meeting, which we'll be recognizing in May. And we talked about the tenure award planning. Our next personnel committee meeting is to be announced.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions about the reports? No correspondence report for the month. Next up is approval of consent agenda items. In an effort to expedite the business of the Board of Education, but in no way to diminish the importance of each item, a consent agenda may be used for the items in this section. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one board member. Items not removed will be adopted by general consent without debate. Any removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the board. So I'm looking for a motion to approve items listed in the sections of this agenda titled Consent Action Business, Consent Action Personnel, and Consent Action CSE, CPSE 504 Committee Minutes. Yes, oh, motion, sorry. Lost myself. March, second. Thought you had a question. Okay. Does anybody wish to remove any item from the agenda? Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Okay, we're unanimous in the consent agenda. So we move down to action items business. So first up is the okay. So first up is the appointment of Isaac Harris, ex officio student board member. Looking for a motion, resolution that the Board of Education appoint Isaac Harris as the ex officio student board member effective April 24th, 2025, and ending on June 30th, 2025. Can I get a motion? Beth, second. Will, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Unfortunately, you couldn't be here this evening, or we give them some applause. Next up is the third reading and adoption of new policy 3311, notification of disclosure of employee disciplinary records. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent for third reading and adoption of new policy 3311, notification of disclosure of employee disciplinary records effective April 24th, 2025. Is there a motion? Will, second. Joelle, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, we're unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have approval of intermunicipal agreement for internal audit services. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the intermunicipal agreement for internal audit services with Prestar 3, BOCES for 2024-25, dated April 24th, 2025. That is provided in your agenda. It's there. So every year, already pointed through the reorganization meeting, this is the contract that we didn't approve. So I'd look for a motion. March, second, Jen, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have the intermunicipal agreement for RIC 1 Risk Operations Center 2024-25 school year. Whereas 4 BOCES, that would be Onondaga, Fort Wayne, Madison BOCES, the Albany, Schoharie, Schenectady, Saratoga BOCES, Madison, Oneida BOCES, and Broome, Tioga BOCES have collaborated and entered into an Article 5 general municipal law intermunicipal arrangement for the purpose of improving vendor management and data security and privacy practices for other school districts and/or BOCES statewide, known as the RIC 1 Risk Operations Center. Whereas the Board of Education of the Greater Johnstown School District, through its affiliation with a locally based regional information center, participates with the ROC and desires for the 2024-25 fiscal year to authorize the ROC to enter into data privacy agreements and related exhibits with vendors and third-party contractors that include the requirements of and compliance with New York State Education Law 2D and Part 121 regulations related to student personally identifiable information and certain teacher and principal ABPR data. Whereas the ROC also partners with the New York SED, the Access for Learning Student Data Privacy Consortium, and the Education Cooperative to negotiate and approve EdLaw 2D compliant DPAs, whereas DPAs are presented to school districts and/or BOCES for final execution do not require the expenditure of funds beyond those budgeted, and be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Greater Johnstown School District authorizes the attorney designated by the ROC to negotiate and approve of DPAs for software and/or technology resources, and be it further resolved, the Greater Johnstown School District Board of Education grants the ROC and its designated attorneys the authority to negotiate the terms and conditions of DPAs and take such actions so as to effectuate the purposes and intent of this resolution. Okay, lots of legal jargon there. So I look for a motion to accept that recommended course of action. Marge, second. Leslie, any discussion? Oh, no discussion.
I need a vote.
Okay.
This is only actually very important because New York State wants us to organize all the data privacy agreements so that we protect student and staff data at all costs. And only those programs and platforms we use have to be okayed by this organization for us to subscribe.
Okay, great. So motion, second, all those in favor? All right. Next up, we have the the acceptance of educational contribution money and modification of charitable fund budget, County Highway Solar 1 and 2. Whereas by resolution adopted on March 16, 2023, the Board of Education of the Greater Johnstown City School District created and established a charitable fund in accordance with Education Law 1804-1 and 1709-12B to receive unrestricted charitable monetary donations made to such fund for use by the district for public educational purposes. And whereas the Greater Johnstown School District is in receipt of educational contribution payments from ACE Development Company LLC, care of AES Distributed Energy, Inc., for projects known as County Highway Solar 1, LLC, and County Highway Solar 2, LLC, in the sum of $397,905.08. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes and approves the following 2024-25 charitable fund budget modification in the amount of $397,905.58 for use by the Greater Johnstown School District for educational purposes. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the recommendation? Joelle, second. Leslie, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have acceptance of donation and modification of charitable fund budget, Stewart's Holiday Match. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes and approves the following 2024-25 charitable fund budget modification to accept proceeds from Stewart's Holiday Match in the amount of $1,000 for use by the Greater Johnstown School District. We get a motion to accept the recommendation. Beth, second. Jen. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next, we have acceptance of donation and general fund budget modification, Stewart's Holiday Match. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes and approves the following 2024-25 general fund budget modification to accept proceeds from Stewart's Holiday Match in the amount of $500 for use by the Knox Middle School. I have a motion. Marge, second. Jen, any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Next, we have first emergency contract for provision of transportation services. Motion to accept the following resolution. Whereas the Greater Johnstown School District is faced with an unforeseen circumstance when it recently learned that it would need to provide transportation for an out-of-district route run. Yeah, thank you. For a student determined to need transportation for accessing special education services, and whereas Education Law 305-14B permits the Board of Education to award an emergency transportation contract without competitive bidding not to exceed 1 month, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby determines that an emergency exists as would satisfy Education Law 305-14B, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent or board president to enter into the necessary emergency contract not to exceed 1 month with Brown Transportation Inc. at a cost not to exceed $7,480 for the period of March 17, 2025 through April 16, 2025. Resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do I have a motion to accept? Leslie, second. Beth? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have a second emergency contract for provision of transportation services. So this is basically the same thing. I'm not going to read through it all again. It's the same language, I believe, for the same amount. Therefore, the dates are a little different, though, from April 21st to May 5th. So I look for a motion to accept. Marge, second. Jen, any discussion? I'm sorry, May 25th, May 21st, sorry. I'm trying to juggle a lot here. All right, so April 21st through May 21st. Okay, so with that correction, we have a motion by Marge, second by Jen. Any discussion? All those in favor? Next, we have adoption of textbook, reading program, Amplify CKLA 3rd edition. Motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to adopt the textbook, reading program, Amplify CKLA 3rd edition by core knowledge for use in grades K through 5 in the English language arts curriculum for a 3-year period. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation? Beth? Second, Will. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Next, we have a motion, or excuse me, adoption of textbook program Amplify Science. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to adopt the textbook program Amplify Science, developed by the Learning Design Group at the University of California, Berkeley's Lawrence Hall of Science, for use in grades 6 through 8 in the science curriculum. I have a motion. Will, second. Joelle. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have the interscholastic athletic mergers with Wheelerville for the fall of 2025. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the interscholastic athletic mergers between the Greater Johnstown School District and Wheelerville Union Free School District for the following fall sports, effective for the 2025-26 school year. Modified football, modified cross country, modified field hockey, modified boys soccer, modified girls soccer, modified volleyball. We have a motion. Will, second. Leslie? Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Next, we have the Greater Johnstown School District budget proposition. Looking for a motion to accept the proposed budget of expenditures for the Greater Johnstown School District for the school year 2025-26 in the amount of $45,156,817, and for the purposes shown in the statement of estimated expenditure adopted by the Board of Education, be and the same hereby is approved, and the amount thereof shall be raised by a levy of the tax on the taxable property of the school district after first deducting the monies available from state aid and other sources as provided by law. Okay, do I have a motion? Will, second? Leslie? Any discussion?
Could I just take a moment to thank Alicia for her leadership on formulating budget, also the cabinet in the back. They all had input early on in the budget, and it's definitely a team effort for sure, and as well as the audit budget finance committee for sure.
I'd also like to add that this is not just a one-time thing. We've been reviewing this for months. We started this in December. This is the culmination of that work. And we've made numerous public presentations about the development of that budget. So we've had opportunities to ask questions and look into this. So with that, do we have a motion in a second? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Next, we have property tax report card. Looking for a motion to approve the property tax report card for the Greater Johnstown School District for the school year of 2025-26 for submission to the New York State Education Department as provided by law, effective April 24th, 2025, as seen in the addendum. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation? Leslie? Second, Marge. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, last but not least, next we have the authorization to issue supplemental refund check from Tax Certiorari Reserve Fund. Whereas by resolution adopted on March 5th, 2025, the board authorized district administration to issue a two-payment for principal school tax refunds with interest due to petitioner Johnstown Comrie Associates LLC for the 2020-21 to 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, 24-25 school years pursuant to an order of the Supreme Court, Fulton County, entered on September 28, 2023, in the matter of Johnstown Comrie Associates LLC versus assessors for the city of Johnstown et al. And whereas pursuant to said resolution, a refund check in the amount of $200,044.01 was issued by the district on March 6, 2025. And whereas it has been determined that the correct amount of the principal school tax refunds with interest through March 6, 2025, due for the school years in question should have been $201,006.62, resulting in a balance of $962.61 remaining due to from the district. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved that district administration is hereby authorized and directed to issue to petitioner a supplemental refund check in the amount of $926.61. And it is further resolved that the amount of the supplemental refund check be drawn and paid from the district's Tax Certiorari Reserve Fund. Can I get a motion? Joel, thank you. Second? Marge? Any discussion? My only question is, how did we get the amount incorrect the first time?
We didn't, I think our attorneys did.
Oh.
So in the negotiations back and forth, I think, yeah.
It was they sort of miscalculated the interest side of the payment.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? All those in favor? So, did I? Same hesitation. Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right, so hands up again. All right, so we have 6. All those opposed? Abstention? 1 abstention. Okay. Now something for maybe a little more exciting. So first we have the retirement of Cecina Vinnie Cannon, teaching assistant. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to accept the resignation of Cecina Vinnie Cannon as teaching assistant for purposes of retirement effective end of the day, June 30th, 2025. Beth, second Jen. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next, we have the probationary appointment of David Holbert, custodial worker. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of David Holbert as custodial worker effective March 18th, 2025 at $18.65 per hour pursuant to the Civil Service Employees Association collective bargaining agreement. The fingerprint review has been completed and a receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Need a motion? March, second. Well, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have probationary appointment of James Yeti? That? Okay. Custodial worker. I'm looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of the custodial worker effective March 24th, 2025 at $18.65 per hour pursuant to the Civil Service Employees Association collective bargaining agreement. The fingerprint review has been completed and a receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Need a motion? Well, second. Jen? Any discussion? All those in favor? Next, we have the probationary appointment of Emily Fleming, teacher aide. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Emily Fleming as teacher aide, 7.5 hours per day, 10 months per year, effective April 7th, 2025, $16.20 per hour, pursuant to the Civil Service Employees Association collective bargaining agreement. The fingerprint review has been completed and a receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. So I can get a motion. Leslie, second Jen. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Next, we have a probationary appointment for Jacob Lebate, music teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Jacob Lebate as music teacher in the music tenure area effective September 1st, 2025 for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 31st, 2029, subject to compliance with Education Law 3012-D. Mr. Lebate holds initial certification in music. Salary will be at step 3 on the salary schedule pursuant to the contractual agreement between the Johnstown Teachers Association and the Greater Johnstown School District. The fingerprint review has been completed and a receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Can we get a motion? Beth, second Leslie. Any discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand. Thank you. Next, we have the probationary appointment of Cassandra Fayville, mathematics teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Cassandra Fayville as a mathematics teacher in the education mathematics tenure area effective July 1st, 2025 for a 3-year term, tentatively scheduled to conclude on June 30th, 2028, subject to compliance with Education Law 3012-D. Ms. Fayville holds professional certification in mathematics from grade 7 to 12. Salary will be at step C16 on the salary schedule, plus 240 hours for 6 graduate credits at $40 each pursuant to the contractual agreement between the Johnstown Teachers Association and the Greater Johnstown School District. The fingerprint review has been completed and a receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Can I get a motion? No. Second, Joelle. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Just clear up for me. I understand Cassie started with us as a special teacher. Now she's going to math, so even though she got tenure as a special teacher?
Not yet, not in the district, no.
She had tenure in Rhode Island,
I believe so.
so that transfers over to Washington State instead of Florida.
Every time you move to a different district in a new tenure area, you have to accrue tenure. And fortunately in New York State, well, it used to be 3 years, but 4 years is fresh. But if you've already received tenure in a particular area in a school district, you only have to serve 3 years.
So that was my question, what was her particular area?
special education.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? So approved. Next, we have tenure appointment of Caitlin Cross, elementary teacher. Looking for motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents, the Caitlin Cross, probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on August 31st, 2022, be appointed to tenure to the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Caitlin Cross holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Caitlin Cross will expire on August 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion? No, second, Joel. Any discussion?
Just that I have certificates for all of them, so if it's more comfortable for you, I'll just come over here.
Yeah, point of order, we didn't vote yet.
Oh.
We're not gonna rescind it. Okay, all those in favor? Now you can enjoy it. Okay. Now wait.
Got it.
Okay, yes.
Just know where they're teaching and what they're teaching.
Oh, yeah, sure. Would you like to?
Sure.
I teach fifth grade math right now at Max.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we have tenure appointment for Kelia Brennan, elementary teacher. Motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Kelia Brennan, a probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Kelia Brennan holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period for Kelia Brennan will expire on August 31st, 2025. Do I have a motion? Beth, second Leslie. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. You may proceed.
Go ahead. So,
I teach kindergarten at Fun
you know Leslie, former kindergarten teacher.
Yes.
Okay, next we have tenure appointment for John Fitzgerald, science teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that John Fitzgerald, probationary science teacher in the secondary science tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of science teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that John Fitzgerald holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of John Fitzgerald will expire on August 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion? Well, second, Joelle. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, thank you very much. Okay. Next up, we have the tenure appointment of Brendan Haley, physical education teacher. I'm looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Brendan Haley, probationary physical education teacher in the physical education tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of physical education teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Brendan Haley holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Brendan Haley will expire on August 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion to accept the appointment? Well, second, Jen? Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, approved. Brendan is not with us this evening.
Right. Pretty simple.
Okay, next up, we have tenure appointment for Thomas Horning, special education teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents, that Thomas Horning, probationary special education teacher in the special education tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of special education teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Thomas Horning holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Thomas Horning will expire on September 1st, 2025. Do I have a motion to accept? Leslie? Marge, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
7th through 12th special ed. Oh, yes.
Oh, happy birthday!
So thank you for the birthday present.
We should sing, right? Oh, wait, yes, we should sing because it's Tommy's and Nicole Panton's. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tommy and Nicole. Happy birthday to you.
It's your birthday too? Best day of the year.
And that's what we get for hiring a superintendent.
Yes, we're going next about
Okay, next up, we have the tenure appointment of Ethan Casillas. Pronounce that? Casillas? Okay. Elementary teacher. I'm looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3, the rules of the Board of Regents, that Ethan Casillas, probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Ethan Casillas holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Ethan Casillas will expire on August 31st, 2025. Okay, can I get a motion? Marge, second, Jen. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes, 5th grade math.
I broke for a moment because there's a lot of reading tonight. I apologize to everybody to have to listen to my
There's
voice.
water next to you.
I'm good for that. Just a lot of words. Okay, next up, we have the tenure appointment of Sarah Kramer, teaching assistant. I'm looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents, that Sarah Kramer, probationary teaching assistant in the teaching assistant tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of teaching assistant in the Greater Johnstown School District. I'm sorry, it's just a lot. Be it shown that Sarah Kramer holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period for Sarah Kramer will expire on August 31st, 2025. I apologize to Sarah Kramer for chuckling through her. So can I get a motion to accept? Marge, second, Jen. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Please allow me to.
I know we need you to turn this into insurance.
That's good.
I was gonna power through, but yeah, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
It is just, it becomes so repetitive after a while. It becomes almost just comical. So, anyway, Jen, would you like to take the next one, please? Thank you.
So the next one is, we're looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents, that Jacqueline Miller, probationary school counselor in the school counselor tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of school counselor in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Jacqueline Miller holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. be it further shown that the probationary period of Jacqueline Miller will expire on August 31, 2025. So can I have a motion to accept? Marge, second. Beth? Any discussion? No discussion? Call for a vote? All right.
Thank you.
Next up. Want to take this one too?
Sure. The tenure appointment, the motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Megan Morial, probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Megan Morial holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Megan Morial will expire on August 31st, 2025. I'm looking for a motion to accept. Marge, second. Leslie, all in favor? All right.
Thank you. Next up, we have tenure appointment of Nicole Pertel, elementary teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and the provision of Part 30 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Nicole Pertel, probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Nicole Pertel holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Nicole Pertel will expire on August 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion? Beth, second. Jen, any discussion? All those in favor? You're unanimous. Thank you very much.
Oh, she popped in. Where is she? Oh my gosh, she's here.
Congratulations. I've got to go get yours.
Let's try to practice.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Congratulations.
Pre-K, close enough.
All right, our next tenure appointment is of Amber Rupsha, elementary teacher. Did I get her name? Yes. Rupsha. A motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Amber Rupsha, probationary elementary teacher in the elementary tenure area, having been appointed to such position on January 4th, 2016, be appointed to tenure to the position of elementary teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Amber Rupsha holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Amber Rupsha will expire on May 5th, 2025. All right, looking for a motion. Marge? Beth, second. All in favor?
Sixth grade ELA.
Okay, next we have the tenure appointment of Jacqueline Whitman, special education teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent pursuant to education law and provision of part 30.3 of the rules of the Board of Regents that Jacqueline Whitman, probationary special education teacher in the special education tenure area, having been appointed to such position on September 1st, 2021, be appointed to tenure to the position of special education teacher in the Greater Johnstown School District. Be it shown that Jacqueline Whitman holds a valid New York State certificate to serve in the aforesaid tenure area. Be it further shown that the probationary period of Jacqueline Whitman will expire on August 31st, 2025. Can I get a motion? Will, second. March? Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. And congratulations, Jeff.
Pleasant Avenue, kindergarten with you, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, everybody, for your continued dedication and hard work. It was a lot to read, but I'll gladly suffer the humiliation of my faux pas if it means we've got that many quality people in our district. So thank you very much. Okay, so next up, we have the permanent appointment of Austin Harrith, Director of Technology. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the permanent appointment of Austin Harrith as Director of Technology, 12 months per year pursuant to an individual employment agreement effective March 31st, 2025. Mr. Harrith was granted provisional appointment as Assistant Director of Technology effective on or about August 18th, 2022 by board resolution adopted on August 18th, 2022, and his title amended to Director of Technology effective July 1st, 2023 pursuant to board resolution adopted on June 15th, 2023, all of which time has been credited to any probationary term required in accordance with section 63(1) of the Civil Service Law. So, I would look for a motion to accept. Marge, second. Will, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, congratulations. I'd like to thank our administration for setting that gauntlet up for me. We'll be having discussions in no, in all seriousness, next item on the agenda is the board self-evaluation. As a reminder, we are obligated to complete this in a timely manner. So several of us have not completed this. It needs to be completed by April 30th so that we can complete the process. And in fair disclosure, I did mine this afternoon. Yes, please.
You know, we accepted the resignation of Vinnie Cannon. Just what a treasure she has been to the district for 38 years. And we just wanted to mention that. That's pretty amazing.
Yes, it's a long run. Okay, next up, we have a few upcoming meetings and events. April 30th is the board candidate nominating petition deadline at 5 p.m. at the district office. April 30th is also the special meeting at 6 p.m. at the district office. May 1st is the distribution of absentee and early mail ballots beginning. May 1st is also the special meeting, 4:30 p.m. at the HFM BOCES. May 6th is the Greater Johnstown School District voter registration from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the JPAC lobby. May 6th is also the JTA Evening for Education from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at JHS. May 6th is also the public budget hearing at 6 p.m. at the JPAC. May 8th, JHS Spring Concert at 7 p.m. at JPAC. May 15th, the MSSBA Regional Convening at 8:30 a.m. at HFM BOCES. May 20th is the budget vote and board election. Polls open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. 11 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. at the JPAC lobby. May 21st is the business meeting at 6:30 p.m. at the Knox Auditorium. Knox Auditorium, okay. So then next we have possible executive session. So I would look for a motion to enter into executive session at 7:16 p.m. to discuss the employment history of a particular person. Get a motion, Jen. Second, Marge. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, we are in executive session. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening.